Stampers, this is Annette from stampwithannette.com, and today I want to share with you how I made this box. I made it using the envelope punch board, and it will hold 4 cards with their envelopes, and the cards that I made had layers and embellishments. So if you had cards that were just single layer, you could certainly fit several more than the 4 that I put in there. We're going to start with the envelope punch board. A great tool for making envelopes if you have a card that's a slightly different size, or if you ran out of envelopes, or if you wanted to make an envelope that would coordinate with your card with designer series paper or that sort of thing. On here it shows how to do it. If you have a card that is this size, you start with paper that is this size, and this is the score line that you start with. To make a box, we'll do things a little bit differently, and we are going to start with a piece of paper cardstock that is 9 by 9, and the little scoring tool has a little storage spot over there. I'm going to line my paper up here at 4.5, and I'm going to punch and then find the scoring line right in there. Then I'm going to move it over to the 3.5 inch spot and punch and score. Now my cardstock is hanging off the edge of the punch board just a little bit. That's alright. Just score as best you can. Then we're going to turn the cardstock, and this time I'm going to line up my score line that I just made, and I know that's hard to see, but I'm going to line up my score lines with this little pointer on the punch board. And that's going to be, instead of having to measure, I can just line it up with that. Okay, so that one's lined up. Punch and score. Then move it over to the other score line. Punch and score. Flip it to the next side. Line it up with the score line. Punch and score. Punch and score. And it really doesn't matter if you punch or score first. It works either way. Punch and score, and one more line. Punch and score. All right. It does create little shapes. We'll just get rid of those. Then this side has a corner rounder, so I'm just going to stick each corner of my cardstock in there and round it. It rounds it nicely. There we go. Move that over here. Get rid of those scraps. Now, I know it's hard to see, but each corner has a little square. I'm just going to take my paper snips and trim that out. It's just where all of those score lines intersect. It creates a little square. You could leave those in to create a flap. You could just, didn't quite get that straight. That's better. If you wanted to have flaps, you could just cut on one side, and then you have a flap. I'm not sure if you can see that. A flap on the edge of your box, but I found that it folded better for me, the box closed up better if I just cut that flap off. So that's what I'm doing. And I want to trim this one just a little bit more, I think. All right, now just take your scoring tool and crease all those score lines. And remember where the score line, where there's a bump, that goes on the inside. All right, there we go. Now it's time to put the box together, and you'll just put some sticky strip along this flap here and this flap here, and then close that in and bring the bottom flap up and adhere that together. Here is the finished one. So when the box is all done, here's the top flap, and I have sticky strip under those two sides. Then your flap just closes. To hold it closed, I just did a belly band, and I used the Flashback Designer Series paper, and I cut this strip that is real red. I cut it 2 inches wide. I just did 2 by 12, and then wrapped it around and just glued it together in the back. Then I have 3 banners, 3 different sizes with 3 different designs from the same package of DSP. I added a very vintage button and some linen thread. Very simple, but it really adds a lot to that. And then, as you can see, all 4 cards with embellishments just slide in there nicely. And that belly band just slips back on. You do want to make sure your belly band isn't too tight or it's hard to get on and off. There it is. A great little gift, a box with 4 all occasion cards. Thanks for stopping by. Happy stamping, everyone.